made it.
I take it this means you had some luck at the library?
It took a few hours and some eye-watering maps, but I think this might be the cave Doran told us about.
Impressive. Especially with how little information he gave us.
Well, I'm still not sure this is the cave, but it did seem the most promising. I stumbled across some folklore about a cave in the area that people avoid. Seemed the perfect place to hide something of value. It's a bit of a leap, I confess, but might a mysterious item such as a special moonstone be hidden in an equally mysterious cave? I think I'm desperate for anything at this point.
Did you discover why people avoid this cave?
Ridiculous, really. Rumour was that the cave drove people mad. I couldn't find any account by someone who had been in the cave, though. So either it is a rumour, or anyone who went in wasn't in any state to speak of it afterwards.
Well, we're here. We might as well have a look.
Agreed. I wonder if you'd go blind from staring directly at a moonstone.
You don't think the rumors about the cave are true, do you?
I suppose we'll find out, won't we?
Accio!
It's another aggressive one!
Confringo, Bovada!
What is going on with them?
Revelio. Incendio. Revelio. Incendio. Lumos.
Lumos!
Capulso. Glacius. Depulso.
Voipers.
I beg your pardon?
This must be how the rumor about the cave started. The Fwooper's song is said to drive anyone who hears it mad.
Depulsor! Accio!
If the Moonstone is here and so are Fwoopers, I wonder if it's being protected. Why am I not surprised? First the Fwoopers and now this.
Accio!
We need to find moths for those spinners.
Accio! Lumos!
Lumos!
Expelliarmus! Lumos!
Lumos!
Depulsor!
Another obstacle. No matter. I'm sure we can work out a way across.
Accio! Lumos!
Lumos!
Depulsor! Depulsor!
Merlin, it's beautiful.
Lumos! Depulsor! Lumos.
You did it! I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this again.
Confringo. Ethereal. Bombarda. Crucial. Bombarda. Confringo. Crucial.
Look, where the water's bubbling. How odd.
Should we take a closer look?
You read my mind. Merlin, it's even more beautiful close up. It's got to be here, I just know it.
Confringo!
Given what Fwoopas are known to do, I never thought I'd be so happy to see this many of them.
I don't know. I've been listening to them for a while now, and I'm starting to lose my mind.
Very funny. I was just thinking how it's proof that poachers haven't been here, assuming this is where the Moonstone is. Which means we're one step ahead of them. We found it! It's like staring directly at the moon. Well, we found what we came for. Now we just need to bring it to the henge.
Well done, Poppy. This did end up being the right cave after all.
A good thing, too. We need every advantage over the poachers if we're to get to the Snidgets first. We should do as Doran suggested and bring the Moonstone to the henge.
Shall we?
We shall. If we leave now, we should make it there by nightfall. That's the henge, precisely where Doran said it would be. But now that we're here, I'm not entirely sure how to feel. We knew we were at the cave for the Moonstone, but Doran didn't tell us what to expect when we placed the stone in the henge.
Whatever it is, it had better have to do with Snidgets.
The clock is ticking in that regard, isn't it? Let's make our way down. We're nearly at the end of this. I think that's it over there.
How's your Gran doing, by the way?
Nothing keeps Gran down. She set up a caterwauling charm and threatened to make a coat out of the next poacher that set foot on her doorstep. I still feel terrible that I'm the reason they went there.
Surely she'll be pleased you've gone after the Snidgets.
I hope so. Gran understands how important it is to protect those who need it. I think we can safely say we know where the Moonstone goes.
Whoa!
Oh. That was a mooncalf dance. Do you know how rare it is to see even one? They only ever happen under a full moon. Though I suppose the Moonstone allowed it to happen now.
Is the pattern they left behind on the ground normal?
All part of the dance. No one pattern is ever the same though. We'll need to draw this one to get a better sense of it. Can't wait to tell Gran that I've managed to see not one but 2 mooncalf dances. She'll be jealous.
You've seen this before?
It was pure luck the first time. I was on Highwing or I'd never have spotted it. It was the night the night I met Highwing, actually
I'd love to hear about how you and Highwing met.
I'd actually like you to know. About 5 years ago, Highwing had been captured by poachers. At first, they planned to sell her, but soon decided they wanted to kill her instead. More money, I suppose. I'd finally had enough. I freed Highwing and we ran. We'd flown for ages when I spotted mooncalves dancing below and we landed to watch them. It felt like an omen. A good one. A sign that the worst was over.
What do you mean you'd had enough and the worst was over?
You see, the night I freed Highwing was also the night I ran away from home. A poacher camp. I come from a family of poachers.
Merlin? I don't know what to say, Poppy. I can't imagine what that must have been like for you.
I never fitted in, but the older I got, the more apparent it became. Gran tried for years to convince my parents to let me live with her. Suffice it to say, when I left with Highwing, I flew straight for her house.
How brave. I'm glad you escaped.
So am I. There were so many creatures I was unable to help when I was younger. Now that's all I want to do.
From everything I've seen, you're doing precisely that.
I've had a bit of help. I've never told anyone any of this, but I'm glad that you know. It's nice to have someone to talk about it with.
We were around so many poachers in the tent. Were you not worried about being recognized?
Poachers are nomadic, and most of the ones in the area aren't any I'd grown up with. That said, I suspect someone must have recognized me. That's how they got to Gran.
Do your parents know about the things you do now? Saving that dragon from the fighting ring, for instance.
We don't speak, or rather, they don't speak to me. Last I heard, they were in Borneo trying to make their fortunes there. Acromantulas. However, I wouldn't be surprised if word has got back to them. Some days a part of me hopes that it has. Now that I'm older, I wish I could talk to them, get them to see sense. But sadly, I suspect that wouldn't do any good.
What was it like growing up in a family of poachers?
The thing I remember most was how much we moved around, always chasing the next big kill. It was chaotic and dangerous and nowhere a child should ever grow up.
I'm glad you told me.
We should get back to Doran. He'll need to see the symbol, and we've got poachers to beat. If you collect the Moonstone, I can make a quick drawing of the symbol for Doran.
Are you finished with the drawing?
Just barely. I think the pattern's a bird. At least that's what it looks like.
Didn't the journal say the key to finding the Snidgets lies in the moonlight?
Of course. That's it. We need to show this to Doran. Not that I'd know where to find him at this hour. Perhaps we should head back to the castle and we can track him down after a good night's sleep.
Agreed. I'm ready to leave if you are.
Handy resource indeed, your field guide. I'm most pleased to be included.
You would not only lie to me about...
Ah, I have been meaning to speak with you.
I still can't believe we escaped the Ashwinders.
You may not realize it, but you are the talk of the school since you saved me that day.
I wonder how everyone knows about it.
I told my mother in the hope that she would be more forgiving of what I have been up to if it came from me. She likely told other professors, and news travels quickly. Unfortunately, she might, in fact, have been even less forgiving than I'd hoped.
If she knew more about what you've done, I suspect she'd be proud.
If she knew any more about what I've done, she would never let me out of her sight again.
I'm sorry. Has Officer Singer done anything with the evidence we provided?
She has not. Harlow is as strong as ever. Someone needs to stop him, whether it is us or Officer Singer. If someone had stopped the monsters like him in Matabeleland, my father would be alive today.
What exactly happened to your father?
It was a beautiful day. My mother had gone to tend to a neighbor who was ill, and so my father and I were galloping in the savannah.
Galloping? Your father was also an animagus, I take it?
He could become the most majestic giraffe, and he would carry me on his back, my arms around his neck. We were on our way home when we surprised a group of bandits who had come from our village. One of them saw me just as he removed a scarf from his face. He shouted and then aimed his rifle.
He didn't want you to identify him.
Exactly. In an instant, my father bowed his neck to protect me and was hit. As he fell, my father changed back into his human form. When the bandits saw this, they turned and ran in fear. Magic terrified them, and then he was gone. And it was all my fault.
Your fault? How so?
He died protecting me. If I had been capable of protecting myself, he would still be alive today. My mother and I tried to go on without him, but it became too much for us there. A few years later, we left to come to Scotland.
Do you think taking down the Ashwinders will avenge your father's death?
No. Vengeance is not what drives me. My father would not want that. He and my mother raised me to believe that it is a privilege to be able to fight for those who cannot. I know there is risk involved, but I feel it is worth it. I am glad you seem to think so too.
What does your mother think about all of this?
Well, as you saw, she worries a great deal. She is an excellent seer, but I think it bothers her to this day that she did not see my father's death coming. She misses him, as do I. So I believe on some level she understands my need to seek justice in a small way. but that does not mean that she likes it.
Do you think your father would approve of the things we've been doing?
Oh my, that is a good question. In theory, yes. Although he would worry as my mother does. But I think he, of all people, would understand my persistence. My father never shied away from a fight for good, no matter how ruthless the foe. And I think he would have enjoyed knowing that I had a compatriot like you.
I'm sorry, Natty. I can't imagine what you've been through. Your father sounds exceptional.
He was truly extraordinary. And thank you for your kind words. We all have our burdens. My father had a saying about that.
Yes, I remember. Rain does not fall on one roof alone.
Exactly. Soon you and I will put an end to the Ashwinders, beginning with Harlow. And once he is gone, we will turn our attention to Rookwood. We are making progress, and we will succeed. Thank you again for saving me. You deserve all of the praise you have received.
Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
Glad you came.
I wonder where they go.
Hello, Serona. I received your owl. How are you?
Hello, my friend. Did you ever find Lodgok?
I did, thank you. In fact, we're working together to try and rein in Ramrock.
Are you? I suspected you and he would get along. Perhaps best I don't know details of your plans. And I shall refrain from telling you to be careful yet again. But I hope you will be.
Of course. Your owl mentioned you're needing my help with something?
I do. I thought you might be just the person to do a favour for my friend Dorothy Sprottle in Upper Hogsfield.
I don't believe I've met Mrs. Sprottle.
She's lovely. Her late husband Aidan was a friend of my father's. In fact, I'd stay with Dot and Aidan the summers I waited tables here as a student. I've seen her a few times since Aidan passed, but the pub's been so busy lately, I've not been as attentive as I'd have liked. I wonder if you might pop in and see her. She may need some help collecting ingredients for her supply of Wiggenweld potion. And you could retrieve something of mine in the process. A box, full of old letters and such.
Why does Mrs. Sprottle keep a supply of Wiggenweld potion on hand?
Dot's a skilled potioneer. She's been supplying travelling vendors with Wiggenweld potion. An ordinary precaution that has, unfortunately, become a necessity, what with Ranrock's loyalists disrupting the trade routes.
Why did Mr. and Mrs. Sprottle have your box of letters after all this time?
It's one of a few that I had when I was young. Dot found it when she was clearing out a closet. Can't imagine what's in there. Probably terribly theatrical. Ramblings of a teenage witch and her friends. You're welcome to take a peek inside, if you do find it. To be honest, I'd imagine it contains some lovely memories.
I'll try to go and see her when I can.
It would mean the world to me, and to Dorothy. Aiden was bringing the box of letters to me when he was taken ill. Dot can tell you where he might have dropped it. You'll find the hamlet just north of Hogsmeade. Please do give Dot my love.
Off on another adventure, are we?
I've been out here too long.
These rocks.
And when did I set my traps? Was it low?
It's all about.
Come here,
Levioso!
mate.
This looks... Ah, Upper Hogsfield. Now where to find Mrs. Sprottle? Wonder who lives here.
Shane Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood's played a hand in his disappearance.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Oh, dear Sirona, a gem. Has been for as long as I've known her.
She thought you might need help collecting ingredients for your Wiggenweld potion.
And she's correct. My darling Aiden used to collect Horklumps for me. Since he died, my supply has dwindled.
I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sprottle.
Oh, thank you. Love of my life. A bit lost without him. If you wouldn't mind gathering some Horklumps for me, I'd be happy to compensate you for your time.
Believe it or not, I have some with me.
Oh, thank you. How wonderful. The travelling vendors will be thrilled to replenish their stock of Wiggenweld potion.
Sirona also mentioned that Mr. Sprottle was bringing her a box of letters when he fell ill.
Indeed he was. I'd almost forgotten. I stumbled upon it just before Aiden died. He was hoping to go through it with Sirona over a butterbeer or two. Those two were always like two bowtruckles in a branch. Aiden took ill when he was collecting Horklumps on his way to see her. He made it home, but I fear he dropped the box in the cavern. The cavern is in the hills just southwest of our hamlet. You can gather Horklumps and collect the box of letters there.
Sirona said she lived with you during the summers when she was at Hogwarts. What was she like?
Oh, goodness. Well, she was almost exactly like she is now. Charming, good head on her shoulders, taking care of everyone. I can't tell you the fun we had when she and her friends would visit us during the year, all buzzing about, practicing charms. Talented group. Her friend Mirabelle was a genius in the garden. Learned it all from her muggle parents, if you can believe it.
Do you remember anything about the letters you put in the box?
Oh, of course. A few letters from some of her school friends. Some nice memories. I even included a letter Sirona had written to me when she was staying with us. Thought she might enjoy reading it. I know when I read writing from my youth, I'm always astonished at how much I've changed, and yet remain the same.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you. I'll be here if you are able to collect those Horklumps. I, and the vendors I help, would greatly appreciate it.
castle. Must have been quite stately in its time. This must be the cabin Mrs. Sprottle mentioned.
Afraid to take a hit, are you?
Stupefy!
I shall get that.
Leave the Hall clumps to Mrs. Sprottle, but I still need to visit the cave to find... Better have a look around, see if I can find that box of letters. That's all the Hall clumps for now. Mrs. Sprottle should be pleased. Revelio. Confringo. Incent. Revelio. Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether. Confringo! Bombarda! Imperium! Confringo! Crucible! Bombarda! Revelio. Revelio. Confringo. Revelio. This must be Sirona's box of letters. I should take this box of letters to Sirona. She'll be glad. I think that's everything. Sirona will be glad to have this back. Away, Highwing! Away!
Sometimes I do wonder if you're right.
Hogsmeade, here I come.
You're worrying, party.
Hello, Serona. I have good news. I was able to provide your friend Mrs. Sprottle with some hawk clumps for her Wiggenweld potion, and I found your box of letters.
Oh, thank you. I knew you were the one to ask.
I wondered about some of the letters in the box.
Of course. It appears most of the letters were from fellow students.
One of the letters mentions Quidditch practice. Did you play?
I did. Was the Ravenclaw Seeker for 3 years. Oh, Merlin's beard. I adore Quidditch. Nothing like the feeling of catching the golden snitch when your team's down by 140 points. I'll never forgive Professor Black for cancelling it this year. I missed cheering for Ravenclaw.
I saw a letter from someone named Mirabelle. Is that Professor Garlick?
It is. Still one of my dearest friends. I know she wouldn't mind you having seen that letter. She and I are of a similar mind, especially when it comes to young people. We believe experience to be an invaluable teacher. To borrow a phrase from Mirabelle, it's a joy to see anyone blossom, but particularly one who doubted they ever would.
I spotted a letter from you to Mrs. Sprottle. You two seem to have a lot of fun together.
We do. She taught me so much during my summers with her and Aiden. I shall be the first to admit that adolescents aren't always the easiest to understand. And not everyone was as kind to me as the Sprottles. But the depth of their kindness, and that of so many of my friends, got me through some challenging times, to put it mildly.
I'm glad I could be of help. Mrs. Sprottle sends her best.
Don't know what I'd have done without her and Aiden. Thank you, again, for helping her, and for returning this box of letters. It's nice to reflect on good memories.
How nice to see you, my young friend.
Some days are more difficult.
Natty, is everything all right?
There are times when my father's absence drifts to the back of my mind, and I feel peace for a day or two. But this is not one of those times. I miss him. I miss running with him. I miss Matibeleland. He should still be here. And it's my fault that he isn't.
It's not your fault, Natty. There's nothing you could have done to prevent it.
That is what my mother says. But he died protecting me. And I cannot help but feel guilty over that. I find myself reliving the moment more often than I would like. I believe I would feel less helpless if I could truly put an end to Harlow and the rest of Rookwood's miserable lot. Each day they remain free, they do more damage, leaving people like Archie Bickle to suffer the consequences.
I agree, Natty. We'll get them. I've never seen someone so committed to a cause.
Thank you. I believe we will get them, beginning with Harlow. Thank you for speaking with me. It was very helpful.
Revelio.
Deke would like to speak with you when you have a moment.
Hello, Deke. You wanted to talk to me?
Indeed. Deke thought you might want to learn how to build a breeding pen so that you can breed beasts.
That sounds like a very good idea.
Rescuing and breeding beasts go hand in hand. Young beasts are particularly vulnerable to poachers. Breeding beasts here in the room will allow us to keep the younger ones safe.
I see. What do I need to do?
First, bring a pair of beasts to the room. One male, one female. Deke suggests rescuing thestrals, as they're at great risk from poachers. Noble creatures, but their relationship with death gives them a bad reputation. They're prized by poachers for their tail hairs.
I've seen thestrals before, but where would I find a pair of them nearby?
Deke has seen some wild thestrals not too far from the Hogwarts grounds. Then you'll need to purchase a spellcraft for the pen from Tomes and Scrolls and gather the materials it requires. Once you've rescued the thestrals and you have the spellcraft, you come and find Deke.
Does it get any more cozy than Hogsmeade?
Hello there, come on in. Plenty to look at here.
Now I can conjure a breeding pen in the room. Best get back to Deke with the thestrals.
A pleasure doing business with you. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help.
I'd like to ask you about changing the room's ambience.
Of course. What?
I would like the room to feel as if it's being lit by the moon.
Oh, sounds perfect.
I've rescued the thestrals and bought the spellcraft for the pen.
Excellent. Now, to breed your thestrals, simply release them into the same vivarium in which you conjure the pen. Then use the pen to start the process. Come and see Deke when you're finished.
I shall. I wonder where I should conjure their pen.
Deke never grows tired of the room's surprises. We now have the perfect place for those thestrals. Please let Deke know once you've bred them.
Not going to hurt you. Could you remind me what I'm to do with the...
Release them into the same vivarium in which you conjure the pen. Then use the pen to start the process. Come and see Deke.